Welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. My name is Horst Lüning. I'm the master taster of Whisky.com. And today we taste the Balvenie single barrel, 25 years old, 47.8% ABV. This is one of a series of single barrel bottlings of the Balvenie distillery from the Speyside, owned by William Grant & Sons, and who also produced the Glenfiddich whiskey, who were so friendly to give me this bottle for a tasting. And I had several of these single barrels already, and I'm not quite sure which one I already tasted here in English language on my cask. There has been a 12-year-old in a sherry cask, a 12-year-old in a bourbon barrel, which is already gone from the shelves, a 15-year-old single barrel, which is available since 1995 or 6, I think. There had been a single barrel from sherry cask, which shouldn't have, called single barrel, but a single cask, because it was a sherry cask, and the barrel is a American oak barrel, typically. And now the 25-year-old is the oldest in this series, and from every cask or every barrel, there is no more bottles to fill than 300. So a maximum of 300 out of each barrel, but I'm afraid is a lot less, because evaporation takes place inside the cask, or from the inside to the outside, and this reduces the amount of whiskey in the cask over 25 years to, let's say, 50%. So 47.8% ABV is an artificial strength, so they reduce the residual strength with water to this drinking or filling strength. These whiskies are un-chill filtered, so they need a higher ABV, and Balvenie decided to have 47.6. Others say, well, 46% is enough for having no cloudiness inside the whiskey if you pour it over ice or dilute it with water. Well, depends on how much you dilute. If you dilute down to 30%, it will always become a little hazy. Cask type, traditional oak. What means traditional oak? Traditional oak means you have an American standard barrel, and it's firstly filled with bourbon in the US for at least 2 to 4 years. Then these casks come over to Scotland and are firstly filled with malt whiskey, with Scotch malt whiskey, or raw whiskey, which then becomes by maturation Scotch malt whiskey. This is the first fill, and then the refill is called a traditional cask, because you only have one time the first fill in Scotland, and every other filling is refill, refill, refill. And those are traditional casks, where you can see mountains of barrels in the landscape of Scotland if you pass a cooperage or a distillery. Yeah. This single malt has been matured exclusively in a refill American oak cask for at least 25 years. Our malt master carefully samples the age blah. Then they talk about the maturation. You have the additive maturation, describes the extractions of color and character from the oak. So the addition of compounds from the oak into the whiskey, addition of flavors. Then the subtractive maturation, subtractive minus, happens both through evaporation, that the light faints go out of the porous staves of the cask to the air outside the distillery, which happens to be the angel's share, which goes up to heaven, and on the clouds above the distillery are the angels sitting the angels and smell the angel's share. And the absorption into the cask and leads to the loss of immaturity. So not so well tasting substances are going into the walls of the cask, respectively the charcoal from the burning of the inside of the casks. Interactive maturation, this is new. This is quite seldom told the people that there is an interactive maturation. He refers to the complex reactions occurring between the spirit and the oak that can only happen over great periods of time. So in those long times, in those refill casks, the interactive maturation is the pivotal element of maturation, and therefore a lot of people say the refill, the long matured whiskey in refill cask, this is the real best thing. You do not have this foreground taste of a sherry or a first filled bourbon cask, and you do not have this very, very last bitter tannins coming out of a cask at the end of its lifetime. But those long maturation and the interaction, this is what brings the real taste of whiskey to the people. The Balvenie single barrel derives its name from the fact that it is drawn from a single cask of a single distillation. No two casks, even of the same type and filled with a new make from the same distillation, will produce an identical single malt, so each bottling of the Balvenie single barrel forms a limited edition, with each hand-numbered bottle carrying the details of the cask in which it was matured. So if you see this and listen to my tasting notes, you will probably have a different, or bottle from a different cask with different tastings. Whilst no two casks will ever produce an identical single malt because of the careful sampling and selection by our malt master, the Balvenie single barrel traditional oak has a consistent character that is deep and rich with overtures of oak and spice. Mouth-coating honey notes are overlaid with gentle spices and a silky vanilla oakiness. The finish is rich, honeyed and spicy. And if you listen to those words, then those words are quite a general description of a whiskey. This is what I typically give here also, that these nifty, thrifty tastes are not given by me because I want to keep my tasting notes quite general, and I'm not able to imagine what you have learned in terms of tastes in your past, in your childhood, and what you will find again in these whiskies. So not only the cask makes a difference, but also you and me make differences. So this general description, what they give here, is the best you can have on a bottle. If they say it's smooth and silky, blah, 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 that's marketing. But giving these general tasting notes is what I prefer. Here we go. Inside the box, the bottle was wrapped with a silky thin paper, so it's good appearance. Cask number 1854, bottle number 27. In cask date, so the filling from the distillation into the cask was February 21st, 1989, and bottling date was September 10th, 2014. And that's it. I'm eager to taste this whiskey. For a week now, it stood there on my desk, and I didn't find time to have this whiskey, and now to the weekend. It's time. I'm happy to have this bottle available. It's really expensive, several hundred, 300, 400, 500 euros per bottle is a number, but Balvenie is able to sell all those old bottles they have, well, and the price is a result from both sides of the market, yes. Full and deep and rich. Honey, sweet honey, vanilla, and spiciness is coming up, but not this bitter dark chocolate spice, but a delicate spice, perhaps a little nutty. There's definitely no nuts in this whiskey, no, but it's a remembrance of the taste of nuts. Wonderful. And the honey and the vanilla, they bring the deep character of this whiskey. Little fruit is coming up, oranges. It's a typical distillery character, the oranges at Balvenie. But these oranges are far behind. The long maturation period changed the distillery character a lot. Have a sip. Very full, very strong. Sweetness appears, mouth-watering. A second gulp is necessary, and this spiciness, this delicate spiciness, prickling on your tongue, and no bitterness at all in the back. So these 25 years in the cask were, well, not harmful to the whiskey. So they bottled it at the maximum, probably the maximum, but at a very, very good point. The second smell, even more intense than the first. Wonderful. Second verse, same as the first. Wonderful. Honey, vanilla, delicate spiciness. Full, rich, long aftertaste. Full mouth coating. Sweetness. Oh, this is one of the best I had. Well, in this year, it's young, the year, but it's really one of the best I had for several months. Thank you for watching Whisky.com. There's more to come. Stay tuned and feel free to add your comments in our whiskey database. Thank you very much.